why I decided to write a book. This has been such a long awaited announcement, and I'll be totally transparent. I have been writing a book for a very long time, and I had a false start when I was pregnant with my second son, Jack, and I was going through the editing process. And for whatever reason, I just didn't feel clear on what the message was, what the purpose was. And ultimately, if I'm really being honest with myself, I wasn't sure what kind of business I wanted to run. And I didn't know how the book fit into that because I wasn't exactly sure. So when I clarified my business and I really went through, a retooling and a rebranding of how we serve and what services we offer, and really the big benefit that we bring to entrepreneurs and just kind of bringing peace to their back end operations, I said, well, what does this really look like, long term? And, when I was having my first son, Frank, it was a really huge challenge for me to transition from being, a single or a mom with no kids, right? Or excuse me, a person with no kids running a business. And I had all this time and I had all of the ability to really focus on whatever I felt like focusing on. And then what happened is I had a baby, and the baby overnight became the most important thing. And it really shifted not only my identity, in those tough postpartum months, but it also really challenged me to think about what my relationship needed to look like in the business moving forward. So then fast forward about 17 months later, I was having my second son, and I really approached maternity leave a little bit more intentionally. And I started to look at it as a period of rest and up leveling as a leader. And I think that, it took a little while for me to really comb through a lot of things around how I wanted my business to look. But I knew 100% that taking time away from the business and that systematically removing myself from the day to day operations was absolutely the number one driver into the last year of success that we've had. And implementing rest strategically is not something that is just used inside of like my methodology and some of the ways I've approached business. It's also used in pretty much every other high performing plan that's out there, right? If you want to climb Everest, if you want to run a Saharan Desert Marathon, if you want to do an Ironman, all of these things, right, include strategic rest points to rest exactly precisely at the right time to be able to prepare for the next level of the ascent. And so my opinion, woven in with all of the frameworks that I've used with my clients over the last 5 years around operations, is really the accumulation of the sabbatical method, and why I decided to write this book, because I wanted folks to have a really tactical way to be able to justify rest instead of saying that it's not productive, right? We can say, oh, yeah, no, this is totally productive. It's actually helping me become the person I need to become for the next phase of this journey, or it's helping me gain clarity. So I wrote this book to justify to myself that rest is totally needed, because I am totally a recovering person who never used to want to take a break, and that it can help you before you reach a burnout period of your life, or before something happens where you're forced to take time off from the business, where you're forced to be in a position where, you need to kind of power things down for a little while, whether you've neglected your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, any of those things. I think we can all agree that we know somebody in the entrepreneur community who has gone through this process, whether they are recovering from something right now, whether they are going through something, currently and about to kind of be in a burnout phase. And my opinion there is that, we need to take a look at resting a little bit before, we reach some of these milestones, or at the milestones, right? Just kind of implement a little bit of a check-in time to be able to not only, prepare our bodies, prepare our minds, prepare our spirits and our emotions for the next level of the ascent. But also to just gain that clarity, right? If we take a look and we pause and we stop and look at the map and we say, oh, well, I've had my head down moving in this direction for far too long, right? Sometimes it's harder to readjust and come back down the mountain and then go up the other direction, because we just simply didn't look at the map. We didn't take a minute to just power down. So that's why I wrote the book. I really want to serve. I really want to meet folks where they are. And hopefully this will be really, really, really helpful to anybody who feels like they're wearing lots and lots of hats inside of the business with really no outlet to be able to delegate things, and how to think about delegation, how to think about structuring their operations, and really to create an asset, their business, that functions separately from them, right? We want to work the founders out of the core functions of the business, because ultimately, if you can't do that, then you don't have a business, you have a job. And I think a lot of us are, really struggling to reconcile with some of that stuff. So that's why I'm really excited about its release. And I hope that you enjoy it and that you'll grab your copy. There'll be a link below to do so. Take care.